Welcome to our series on the power of data stories. Every number has a story. Every report answers a question, and every insight gives us an opportunity to love women more effectively. My name is Kelle. I'm the Next Level Manager for Heartbeat International, and I have a confession. I love data, but it's not because I like numbers and math. It's because I like a good story. Because a good story makes the greatest impact. At Next Level, we want to help you find the women who believe abortion is their only hope and reach them with the care and truth that can rescue their lives with real hope by turning simple data entry into clear reports and meaningful stories. This will be a limited monthly series meant to help centers use data without being overwhelmed by it. Make changes based on insight, measure their progress, and strengthen impact. We will talk about how to use data to set meaningful mission goals, improve marketing and client services, train staff, help your board, inspire donors, and make the greatest impact through data measurement. So please join us for each episode as we discover how to use your own data stories. Today, we will talk about how to use data stories to set meaningful mission goals. But first, a story. Imagine two friends at church sign up for a walking challenge. At the end of the year, friend number one proudly announces, "I walked 300,000 steps." Impressive, right? Everyone applauds. Then friend number two says, "That is impressive. How long did it take?" Friend number one says, "The whole year." That's a long time, right? 300,000 steps takes a minute. A few minutes later, another woman in the group says, "Oh, I also walked 300,000 steps." Everyone else cheers. Then someone says, "How long did it take you?" And she says, 1 month. Suddenly, everyone gets quiet. They realize the impact. The number hasn't changed, but the context has. 300,000 steps in 1 year tells one story. 300,000 steps in 1 month tells a different story. We all know this, right? But then another friend asks an even better question. Did all that walking make a difference? The first woman says, "Honestly, not much changed." The second woman says, "Well, my blood pressure dropped, I lost weight, and I can finally keep up with my grandchildren." Now we're asking a different question. Before, we were talking about the step count as an activity, but now we're talking about a healthier life as an outcome. The timeline provides the context that helps us understand the story. We're not just measuring activity, we're measuring impact. Centers do this often. We celebrate activity metrics. For example, we had 50 appointments this year, or we trained 20 volunteers. We gave out 5,000 diapers, or we held 500 classes. Those numbers matter. They're the steps. You can't get somewhere without the steps, right? But mission-focused leaders eventually will ask, did the families become more stable? Did lives change? Did women choose life? Those are the outcomes. And then we need context. Over what period of time? Compared to what baseline? For which population? And under what circumstances? Because data without context can be misleading. An activity without impact can distract us from our actual mission. A good data story doesn't just tell us how many steps were taken. It tells us where we started, how long the journey took, and whether we actually arrived at the destination. Many centers set activity goals because activity is easier to count than impact, admittedly. But we first need to figure out what data measures our impact. First question, what is your mission statement? Many report their counts of appointments or clients, but our mission usually strives for more. For example, is your mission statement, "We want as many clients as possible"? Probably not, right? It's probably something more along the lines of, "We want to reach more women at risk for abortion and lead them to choose life." We need to measure if we're doing that, whether our efforts are helping. Activity goals matter, but mission goals should define what success really means. A strong mission goal names the population, in this case, the at-risk woman, the desired change, that she chooses life, and then a time frame. You choose a time frame for the goal. The metrics should be realistic, measurable, and mission connected. So now let's figure out, how do we do that with our data? How do we find out if it's realistic? We look at a baseline. How do we measure it? We're going to look at our data and see what we can look at. And then how do we know if it's mission connected? Well, we need to see if it's reaching the audience with the impact that she's trying to reach. So first, we need a baseline. A goal without a baseline is basically just a wish. It's a hope. It's a guess. But if we don't have a baseline, we don't understand what our current reality is. Before a center can make a change, it has to know its current reality. So to begin this process, your data should tell you your baseline, your current reality. So let's look at data. I'm going to put some bar graphs or different graphs on the screen. If you are listening to the podcast, you can find the PDFs of the graphs in the show notes. There should be a link there. And so you can see those, but I'm going to describe them. So hopefully, even if you're just listening, you will be able to understand because, as I've said, data is actually a story. You can hear what these graphs are about because I'm going to tell you a story. So this first graph is called at-risk clients served. So that answers a few of our questions already. It's talking about a specific audience, the at-risk clients, and it's also telling you the activities they have been served. So you've already got those answers. Now we're going to add some timeline to it. So what it is here is the first bar is telling us about last month's at-risk clients served. Last month, we served 33 at-risk clients. The next month, we added to that, and now we have a year to date. The year to date is 48 at-risk clients served. So if I use all of those numbers together and I project that forward based on that limited amount of data that I have, project it forward, I can anticipate that we will reach 275 at-risk clients and serve them by the end of the year. So that's a good number, right? There's a number. But again, if I don't have context, how do I know if it is a good number, right? Well, the way I know that is I'm going to look at my baseline. My baseline for this graph is last year. I'm going to look at last year's number of at-risk clients served, and it's 291 according to this graph. So if I do a little bit of math, I'm going to discover, if I do a little bit of greater than, less than, I'm going to discover that by the end of this year, if I continue at the rate that I'm currently going, I am not going to reach as many at-risk clients served as I did last year. So now I need to take an assessment. Is there a reason for this? Has anything changed at our center? Are there circumstances that have changed? Have we adjusted some of our services, appointments, marketing, any of that? And that makes that this 275 perhaps is an expected realistic goal for this year. Or have I now discovered an opportunity? This is the part where I want to talk about low numbers. Low numbers are not necessarily a bad thing. In fact, you should be looking for low numbers because what low numbers are opportunities. And if you can't find low numbers, then you're running out of areas where you can grow because you've already reached as far high up as you can. So you really want to find these low numbers because it should make you excited. Like, look at this. I can achieve more than we're already achieving. So that 275, if I calculate that and I do my own calculations and I discover my new measurable goal, if I want to try to reach what we reached last year, is now if I reach 30 clients per month, at-risk clients served, I will reach that goal. Now I look at what are we doing monthly? If we're not reaching 30 clients, then I know I need an adjustment. I know that we need to look at that. And that's what we can talk about in other episodes of how do I look deeper? How do I understand better what adjustments I can make to achieve this new measurable goal that I've made to make a mission impact? So that's your data story. Your data story told you that based on your current data, you're not going to reach the numbers you reached last year. And now, if you want to reach those numbers, you need to reach 30 per month. Simple, right? Isn't that great? So data stories are so fun. So now let me look at a different way, another kind of context for you. The next one is a line graph. Line graphs are fun because they can tell us trends. They can give us patterns over time. And they make them real obvious because if you're looking at the line graph that I have here, you will see obviously that it's a bit of a V, right? And if you are picturing a V in your mind's eye, you know immediately that there was a downward trend and then there was an upward trend. That is immediately my first question is what caused the downward trend and then what caused the upward trend? Because the upward trend is obviously what we're trying to go for. So I might want to ask that question. I also might want to ask what caused the downward trend before the upward trend began. And what adjustment are we still continuing to do? Because that upward trend could be continuing. And so that our goal that adjusts our goal is if it's continuing by the end of this year, we might need to make it as high as our highest point or maybe even higher. So you need to understand your circumstances. But what is the actual data point here? That's important to first understand. Here, it's a percentage of at-risk clients. So out of 100 clients that you have, 77 of them are at-risk clients in 2024. That's a high number based on this graph. So your next question needs to be, is my realistic goal 75% where I'm currently at? Am I continuing on that pathway to where 75% is my realistic attainable goal? Or could I possibly reach to 80%? Are there adjustments that we can make to move that upwards and reach more at-risk clients than we ever have before, according to this data? So there's your data story there. Is we went down and then we changed something and it came up. And now our new goal is this based on those contexts. So that's why data stories can really make an impact at helping you reach new heights and new women and change more lives. So this is why data is so much fun. Do you see how it's a story and not just numbers and math? So what I would like to leave you with now is 2 action items. First, I want you to go look at your data and find your baseline and figure out a target based on that baseline. Then set a regular review, some kind of rhythm to where you keep going back to that data so you can look for the downward trends, or you look for the upward trends, and you find the different areas where you can grow at your center, where you can make a stronger impact and impact even more in your community. This is where the data stories become exciting. And you get to share this with all of your people, your donor, your community, your staff, your board. And this is where it actually takes major effect. So now the next question is decide what action would you need to change in order to reach that goal. So as you're regularly reviewing your impact, your mission impact goal that you've just created or you've just evaluated, is there any adjustment you can make? And that's where it gets exciting. A meaningful goal helps your center move from hoping for impact to leading toward impact. Remember, every number has a story and every story matters. Join us in our next episode to help you use data without being overwhelmed and make changes based on proven insight, progress, and impact. I hope this has been fun. It's been fun for me. Thanks.